Okay, welcome. We're live now. So, welcome to our lunchtime talk, Pivot, Possibility and Probability, with myself, Sabine Matharu, and my lovely assistant, Sam.
Hello.
Nice to have you here as well. So, we are streaming live. I just want to make sure we're all good. If you are seeing us, please let us know. Just give us a hello. I'm going to grab the slides as well. So for those that are visual learners, they can obviously come along and see the slides, right? Make sure. There we go. There he is. So here we go. Can you see that, Sam?
Yes, I can. That's really good.
It's very good. Okay, so I'm just probably gonna open that up a bit. So welcome. So today, in the next half an hour, 40 minutes, Sam and I are going to talk to you, especially for those who are speaker coaches or consultancy, how you can actually pivot your business from the offline world into online, or if you are already have pivoted, already been working online for a while, how can you really become super visible? So just a little introduction as to who we are and what we do, and why should you be actually listening to us, the two of us. I mean, firstly, there's myself. I run Reach Your Greatness Limited. We also are publishing books, so that's one of the things we want to talk about is how to potentially become a best-selling author. That's one way to become visible. And I'm also a business startup and growth strategist, so I've been working with a lot of different businesses become visible and establish themselves online as well. The visibility obviously expanded through online TV shows, magazines, masterclasses, online training programs, you name it. I think I had about over 200 guests on my online TV shows in the past. So I've done many of those, hours and hours of live streaming. I'm also a leadership coach and a project manager by trade. So that's my background. That's where I come from. And maybe some of you can really relate coming from that industry, setting up your own business and sort of moving into a space where you're self-employed and you are looking to get clients potentially in the field, in an area where you were an expert in before. And I'm also the founder of the Empowerment Portal. So if you're on LinkedIn, you might actually see what's happening. There is, it's actually a membership platform for organizations as well, for individuals. So yeah, have a look what that's all about. But as you can see, I've done quite a lot of stuff moving myself from the offline space into the online space. So I guess that's the point that I wanted to make. Sam, if you introduce yourself here as well. Just check if we're all live and people can see us and see if there are any comments as well.
Okay. Yep, sure. So yeah, I'm Sam Houghton. 3.5 years ago, I wrote my first book. Always had a passion for writing, right from being, the one of the favourites in the English class at school. There's always an ambition to be an author, and back then be a journalist. Life took its own turn, and I only came into this career later on in my life. But from writing and publishing my first book, which was all about my story, it has literally just changed everything for me. So I went on to write another book. I put together a collaborative book such as this, what we're talking about today. But then I've also written about 8 books for other people as a ghostwriter. I also guide people who want to write their own books as a coach and a mentor, have my own programs. And I won an award for my first book as well, an author award. And so I'm all about the story. I'm all about books. And I work mainly in the online world as well. Because I just knew I wanted, I don't know about you, Sabine, but I created a business where I could work with people anywhere in the world. So that's all me.
And I guess that's right now even more so the name of the game is to move your business online, because you don't know whether we ever going to be in the normal again. And it's always good to have an online stream as well, and being able to actually adjust and adopt to the new circumstances. So this is where really we want to help you today to realize what you can do in your business to potentially get online. And if not, obviously we can't give you all of the all the things, but at least how can you get visible and how can you really create that audience around you? Because that's what you need, is to have an audience so that you can actually sell to them, right? So it is slightly different from working offline, I guess. So
Yeah.
let me toggle back to the slides. I think I'm just going to keep it open like this so I can keep an eye on the comments as well. So welcome, ladies. I can see a few of you hopping on, which is fantastic. Great to see you. So yeah, so pivot. It's really about looking at online versus offline, right? So as I already kind of said, if you are not visible online, even if you have an online business, I think you still need to be visible online. I think nowadays it's super important. And it's also, I guess it's super easy now because we have obviously all these different platforms which weren't there before. And there's a lot of intelligence in these platforms as well in terms of finding the right audiences. You can go into groups as well. You can mingle with groups. You can, add value to those groups, and you can network in those groups as well. So you don't really need to go, and drive somewhere to do some networking, which is fantastic, right? So literally it's available there. But so today is all about visibility and the numerous ways in which you can become visible. So what I would say though is pick one or two things, because there are gazillions of things that you could be doing, and you could be then super overwhelmed, because let's face it, all of these things actually take time and energy. If you don't put time into something, obviously you want to maybe pay an ad or something like that. Obviously you put in the money. There's nothing like free kind of sort of a free visibility. It doesn't exist. Either you put in your time or you put in your money. That's my 5 cents, right? Do you agree with that, Sam?
Absolutely. Yeah. Where the focus goes, the energy flows, and you get the results, don't you?
Yeah. And the thing is as well, I mean, Sam, you're a very good writer, and some people aren't good writers. So what do they do if they're not good writers? You could actually go on a video and just talk, but you got to actually put yourself out there somehow, or connect people on a one-to-one. So there's many ways you could do this, right? So here's sort of my sort of top 10 list, if you like, in terms of what are the different options to really be visible and grow your business in this moment in time, especially. So obviously there's a lot of stuff around speaking. So here is your speaking thing. So whilst we had speaking on stage, this is probably reduced now because obviously the events, the in-person events have reduced. However, there may be now online speaking events where you can actually be speaking. So go and tap into those events and be a speaker. And that means maybe you're going to be on a Zoom or somewhere on a live stream or something like that. So if it's not in person, you can still be speaking online, which is always great. And ideally you could even go into Facebook groups, like where potentially people are doing something complimentary, and you could actually offer, hey, I could actually provide this topic to your audience. Is that something that's of interest? Of course there needs to be some sort of relationship building behind it. With everything you do here, there will be some kind of relationship building before you pitch anything. That's my advice. I mean, I don't know about you, but I really hate it when people just send me a message out the blue, a link. That's the worst. Yeah, I always ask you, would you be interested in that? If yes, I'll send you the link. I think that really shows respect of other people, and really, and you consider what they actually want, and not just sort of spamming them with some link, because the chances are quite high that they might actually not go and check out that link anyway, or want to have you as a speaker if you just send them straight away to a link.
I think it's a bit like going to a supermarket that sells thousands of products, and you just go and try to force one product on somebody. It's like, not you need to understand them and what they want.
Absolutely. And if not, ask the question and build that relationship, and and support those people before you ask them. And it's the same with the podcast, right? You could have your own podcast, and of course it is a process, I guess, to create a podcast, and to also to produce it and to launch it, and to making sure that the people are going to listen to them. So it is quite a big undertaking. But you could also become a guest speaker again, to get started, and sort of test out, which of these mediums is gonna, grow you the fastest and is most aligned, is most fun for you. The same with the online TV. So I've been doing online TV for a long time and interviewing lots and lots of people. And of course, now I'm thinking, well, actually, I could have turned that into podcast episodes as well, because it will really save me so much time. And you can actually repurpose and put your stuff out onto different platforms as well. So online TV it's great because you can actually, kind of position yourself as your own expert straight away. It's like you don't have to ask anyone for permission. You just go show up, maybe bring some guest speakers on, or you have a weekly theme or whatever, what have you, and you go with it, right? And that mostly the online TV actually involves obviously video. If it's not like a show you want to create, you just maybe want to do like a weekly or a daily video if you want to do that. If you like videos and you just like to talk, then that's great. You could even do like an outline. So that's what I do. I mean, like right now I have slides in front of me, so I know what I'm going to talk about, but I could actually take some notes and say, well, actually, based on these 3, 4, 5 bullet points, I'm going to do a Facebook Live, which maybe like 10 minutes, right? Doesn't need to be long. But then you could actually take these couple of bullet points and then actually write it out, or then go and you could transcribe that video that you did. So you actually end up with a block of text. You could then use that text as posts on social media, or you could actually put that text on a blog post, for example, right? Well, is there anything else that you do, Sam, in terms of the writing or combining with video?
Yeah, quite overlap with what you've said. I mean, there's so much you can do. As I always talk about, when you've got a book, it's like your absolute hub for all of your content. So, imagine how many blog posts alone could be in a book, because a lot of people get we're all busy. And if you're sitting down, some people block out their time to write all their posts. But, it's always about finding the ideas and the inspiration. So a book, you've got everything you need for blog posts, for if you did PR, if you do radio interviews, if you do social media, if you do lives, if you do podcasts, whatever it is, you can share. You could take snippets of your book, collate them with an image, and use that for social media posts. You've just always got that wealth of information at your fingertips. So yeah, I'm all about repurposing. And as well, for blog posts, I try to write every day. I write at least one longish social media post, which I share to the different platforms. I use images, really feel into it. But then I also sometimes turn those into blogs for my website as well. So you're not having to write masses of content over and over again. You might not always use the full sort of content, but you can shorten it, because obviously on LinkedIn and Twitter, you only have so much space that you can use. But you've got all your content there, so it's just fantastic for everything.
Exactly. So let's look at the written word then. I mean, I think we already kind of covered it, but I think because we both, Sam and I, are very passionate authors, and I don't know, Sam, if you have any of your books, but obviously I've got mine. One of my books here, which was just released in February this year, just before the lockdown. It's called Joy Recipes for Abundance. And then the first one was Rise in Pursuit of Empowerment, which features in total 50 entrepreneurs that tell their stories. And it's fantastic. As you just said, it is absolutely, like, straight away people see you as an expert when you have a book, especially when you're a consultant or a speaker. You can say, well, actually, I'm a best-selling author kind of thing. It's like it puts a completely different spin onto the whole thing, onto the application, and the door will open much quicker, right?
Massively. This was so that was my first book. This is what changed. This was my life story. So this changed everything for me. Personally, professionally, everything. This is the latest book that's just been published. So this is for I'm not holding it right, am I? I can't get the angle right. That's for a childcare practitioner. She's got her own theory and practice. Lady I worked with last year, again, her true story. It's all about living with bipolar. Another lady, a therapist that I work with, therapist and coach. Again, that's her personal story with all of the transformation in there. Another coach that I work with, that was a couple of years ago. Another coach that I work with, so you see the theme, coaches. And another coach that I work with, this is all about finding your life purpose. So yeah, and there's a few more, but we'll be here all day showing the book.
And what do you say, so what did it do in terms of visibility? What, I mean, there's, I think in the next slide, you know, what the pros and the cons, I guess, you know, if you only have, say, a blog post versus,
Yeah.
you know, what are the different things, would you say, the advantages and the disadvantages, and why would you go all the extra mile with a book? Because obviously that seems to be quite a big project.
Yeah. So if you look, I mean, it's ironic in a way that my book was called The Invisible Girl. So I grew up with that feeling of invisibility. So I know that very well. And I had a lot of fears about visibility, which I know a lot of people do as well. But actually, I'm very aligned with that now. Because one thing I always remember when I first started in business 10 years ago, this was way before I'd written a book, was about you could have the best service or product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, what's the point? So as I've moved through my journey, that book alone has, as I said, changed everything, literally everything. So writing a book, whether it's your story, whether it's a business book, it's a massive self-development journey on its own, which can bring all kinds of things from that. So when you write, it's a very cathartic process. It's allowing you to take all of the content or ideas that are rattling around in your head and putting them onto paper or laptop digitally. That in itself, it frees up a lot of space in your mind. So it gives you a lot of clarity. It also really helps you connect into purpose, because when you're going through this process, it's a natural, you see what really matters. You see patterns in your thinking, then patterns in your behavior. You can identify all kinds of things just from this process alone. So that's just even before you get into what it can do for you as a business. But as a business owner, and I think especially someone who's in what I call a transformation business, such as a coach, a speaker, consultant, therapist, these people, it's very much starts with you first. So what's going on for you as a person is going to reflect in your business. So if you have this underlying fear about visibility, then that is really going to show in your business. So what would that mean? What would that look like? You may find it difficult to attract clients because you're afraid of putting yourself out there. So having a book just automatic. I literally did this by kind of an experiment. I had a big calling to share my story, and so everything was a byproduct. But what a byproduct it's turned out to be. So it's what I found is the number one thing it did was attract clients to me from the get-go, not months or years down the line, but straight away. So one of the main things in marketing is overcoming the objections of the know, like, and trust. So to buy from someone in person is one thing. To buy from someone online who you've not actually been able to meet can be a different ball game. So it's like, even if they've been recommended, you still have to have that know, like, and trust. You know, that is just how we are made up as human beings. But what I found with sharing a book, particularly when you include some personal story in there, is how that connects you to your reader, to your potential client. Because a lot of people who were initially my readers became a client. And what I found was people were just reaching out to me. Because I'd shared my transformation in my book, and people wanted to know how the heck I did that, how I did that. but then also they felt like they knew me. So in marketing, people talk about, videos and lives, because you can really connect with the person on that personal level and energetically. You can do exactly the same with a book. And I think you can actually do it far more with book, because you can share so deeply. And so that was the number one thing. It brought me readers and clients straight away. What it also did, which I guess it kind of took me by surprise, was how it positioned me. So you hear about this, you hear about a lot of these things in business, but when you actually have it happen to you, it's something else. So all of a sudden, and I've had clients say this, people see me differently. People are seeing me differently. I'm the same person as I was the day before, but now I've published this book, people are viewing me differently. So I ran with that. I felt good with that, because I think right at the start, it's about feeling very aligned to it. So I always talk about energetically owning your book, because if you're not feeling fully aligned with anything, any product, any service, you're going to find it very hard to promote and sell it. So very much being aligned with your book. So the positioning, the client attraction, and therefore obviously sales, because if we haven't got sales in a business, we don't have a business. What else would I say? It just opened up, as you said, doors, so masses of opportunities. So it was things like, all of a sudden I got a lot of speaking opportunities. So I'd been doing a bit of speaking, but I just got loads of them come in, and paid speaking opportunities. I've been able to, I've had NHS, places like that, which are not really that easy to get into. I've had them purchase my books. They've paid me for speaking. They've paid me for training. That wouldn't have happened without my book. I've been on the radio many, many times. I've been on BBC One. No, I haven't. I haven't been on BBC One, but you can see where it leads. All kinds of opportunities opened up. But
I have the local BBC actually.
Okay, brilliant. But it just opened up a whole new world, but particularly online, because I really use social media to share the journey with my marketing as well, with my book. So we talk about, if you're writing a book, start marketing your book straight away. And it built up an audience online. And, it's literally just changed everything. So it actually created me a new business, as well as my book sales, as well as, getting new clients. And, I've got a thriving business now where I'm helping people to write and publish their stories and books as well.
Brilliant. And yeah, even if content creation for your business, or at least, if you have a book, this could be a front end, this could be a lead generation tool, to actually send, or maybe you can sell the book, at a small price in the beginning, that will actually lead your prospect down to potentially your email list, where you can nurture them, where you can get on a call with them and they get to know you. It's so much value. It's leaving a legacy, right? It is a physical thing. It's not
Great point.
Talking just a quick ebook. It's about a proper sort of published where there is some color pictures and some detailed design and high quality graphics.
Beautiful. I forgot to mention that, the legacy factor. Amazing, because sometimes people are writing a book, they want to leave something, say, for their children or their parents if they're getting older. It's a forever, once it's on Amazon, unless Amazon ever goes down, it's there to stay. As is, if you publish a book, your book may end up in a secondhand bookshop, years and years later. It's forever. So it's like permanent.
And when my books ended up in some libraries and in schools, because the collaborators actually work in those places, and they purchase those for these places, and also audio, right? So the book can be turned into an audio book, or into, of course, it is also an ebook. It can be just sent as a PDF as opposed to someone having to go on Kindle or something. I mean, I'm using my books as a lead magnet. That means I have an opt-in page and people can actually download the book. And every day I have a handful of people, although I'm not even promoting officially. I have then times when I have more of bigger launches or campaigns running around the books, and maybe having some interviews and plugging in stories again from those entrepreneurs that have been in the books, because we have continuous sort of campaigns, because the idea of my books were actually helping others become visible for those that weren't able to write or not quite ready to write their own book. So it is so versatile as well, and it helps you grow financially as a person. Whilst there is a to printing it and everything else, you can sell the books. Like you probably sell them more than I do, whereas mine is more like a lead generation tool, and I think yours is more like an income stream. Is that right, Sam?
Yeah, it is a small income stream, but what I always say to people is, obviously you want your sales, you want your story, your content to create that impact, but it's more about looking at, particularly as a business owner, what that book can do for you. Because I mean, I just did it in this sort of experimental way. It wasn't even with any strategy or any intention. It literally just showed me what was possible, and I ran with it. But I think for me as well, personally, I'll just add in, I'm an introvert, so I do show up online a lot, but it's something I've worked towards, and I don't go live. I don't do a lot of lives and things like that, being that introvert. But I haven't really needed to, because my book has really done the work for me. It speaks for me. It almost felt like kind of magic. And I think the thing I liked about it most of all is that it feels very natural. So because all you're really doing is sharing what you know, maybe what experiences you've been through, and your knowledge and your wisdom. That is it. So to me, that is very natural. It's not about being somebody else, it's about being yourself. So it's very authentic. And because when it comes to marketing, quite a lot of people can feel quite a bit yucky about it. It's like, oh, I've got to really put myself out there, this fear with the visibility. But a book is just about being you. So as long as you can feel aligned and comfortable with being you, brilliant. And you just take it from there and leverage that in all of these ways that we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not sure where to get started, don't worry. We have an opportunity at the end of this presentation where you could potentially be part of a book without having to write your own. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, so what else have you got? Yeah, self-healing. You already expressed that in terms of part of writing your book, you are self-developing as well and up-leveling as a person. And of course, it's about helping others as well, and perhaps just sharing your story will impact so many other lives as well, which is beautiful, right? So that's one of the things. There's so many angles in terms of a book. The more I think about it, the more excited I actually get just to think about that. I mean, starting point is a lead magnet. It could be more sales, more visibility for your business. People get to know you much better and quicker. It's a legacy. It's going to live in different bookshops, Amazon. It's going to help you and it's going to help others. It's amazing. It's an amazing.
I always think if people really get this and we're able to let go of fears, because it does bring up fear for people, excuse me, surrounding visibility mostly, and those doubts about who wants to read my book, who wants to read my content, all of this thing. You can get beyond that. I think every business owner would probably write a book because of the potential for it. It's the best. So it's very natural, but it's been the best marketing tool I've ever done. It's just created so much. So for anyone listening that's ever thought about it, get beyond those fears, because it could be the making of you.
And we do have only see questions on Facebook. So if you're listening in on any other platform, because we're streaming in multiple, please do leave us comments and questions. We'll definitely come back to you, promise you. But I do see a question here on Facebook. Karishma, asking Sam, how did you share your first book for it to get noticed?
How did I share it? Well, for me, it starts off with, it might sound a bit woo-woo, but it starts off with energy. So as I talk about being very aligned to your book. So obviously my first book was my story. So I was naturally very aligned to that. I had a big desire to share it, to help other people. And also there was a part of it that I wanted to heal my own shame. There's some shame I had about my past, which has done that. But it was that, and the intention I have for my book. So the intention was to help me heal my shame, to help others and inspire others on their journey. That was very great within me, so energetically within me. I then used to share that mainly through Facebook, because that's always been my go-to platform, I guess, because you can write realms on here more than any other platform. And I just was sharing that. So posts, I made a few videos. I wasn't really doing lives at that point. They weren't as popular. Just showing up, I was sharing my story. It's all been about sharing my story. So telling that story, the real story, that is it. That's about as complicated as it gets. But consistently showing up all the time, every day.
Exactly. Now, I will talk about this in a minute because, as I said, there will be an opportunity where there is a done for you service potentially for you to actually get into a book and then have that advantage of being published and also have all the visibility done for you around it as well. And I'll talk about that right at the end because this is something I noticed. It might be hard to do your own book and to go out there and potentially not knowing where to get started. But this is where I come from. So I've been doing a lot of online marketing and project management in my life, even previously before starting my own business. And I had that vision. I needed to go out and give an opportunity to 100 authors to get published on a sort of done for you visibility type of platform. So that's what I want to share with you right at the end in terms of how that could look like, because it will really remove all of that headache of thinking I'm going to do it. And obviously, Sam, you've done it, you've been there, now you're helping others as well. So for those who really want to write their own book, absolutely, contact Sam. So I think we've done with this slide. So the stumbling blocks, probably kind of talked about it as well, because it does seem a lot of work, maybe a bit scary to share the stories, but I think we kind of said, what impact it may make on yourself in terms of really digging that story out and sharing it, and how others actually don't really react in the way that you think, because you might be scared. And now obviously working with 50 authors here in the book, some of them were a bit apprehensive when they came to me and said, oh, I'm not sure if I want to be in this book, and you have these problems, and I've gone through, I don't know, relationship issues. I don't know what people are going to think of me, right? But it helped so many, inspired so many, and as you said, Sam, it's a self-healing process at the same time to actually get that story out there.
It's quite normal to feel fearful as well, because it's uncertain, it's the unknown. If you've never done it before, why wouldn't you have some apprehension, really? But it's like with anything that you feel fearful about, we all know, it's on the other side. The fear isn't real. It really is just that inner dialogue, that story we're having with ourselves. So the only thing that's going to really get in your way is always about you. But one thing I find really helped me and helps my clients, and I say it over and over, is when you're in fear of being visible, of being judged, whatever it is, you're up there, you're in your head. Move it down and go back into your heart, and that remind yourself of who you want to help, inspire, why you're doing it, and go back into the heart and come from that place. Because when you do that, you instantly have a lot more gratitude. And when you come from gratitude, that's what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think. That's an antidote to fear. So drop back into your heart.
Absolutely. And I think that might actually also answer Sharon's question about what helped you continue writing.
What was that? Sorry.
What helped you continue writing? I guess it is exactly this.
Having a massive emotional connection to my why. So when I work with someone, I always really get them to go into their vision and their why, because if your why is powerful enough, it will drive you through anything. So yeah, really tap into that. But also, it's largely about who you're being. So if you think about your values and who you need to be an author. So to write a book, as that first point there says, it seems like a lot of work. Okay, so something needs to be a lot of work. So what do you need to be? You need to be focused. You need to be clear. And probably more than anything, you need to be committed. So if you're those three people, you're not going to find writing a book as hard, because you're already set. So have a look at your values, and sometimes it may be that you just need to shift values around a bit and the priority of them. So being committed is one of the number one things for a book, because unless you are committed, you're unlikely to finish. Why so many people start writing a book and never finish it. Yeah. Or they have the idea they want to write a book. So many people say that, but they never do it. So maybe it's about who you're being as a person.
Exactly. And well, yeah, I guess the self-doubt could creep in as well, whether your writing is good enough, whether people want to hear from you. I think we kind of talked about that as well.
Yeah.
Whether you're good enough to call yourself an author. I mean, my kids are just so super proud every time there's the World Book Day. They take one of my books to school, say, well, my mom's an author.
Here's a question I like to throw in, and I'll say, who are you to actually judge whether your story or whether your work is good enough? It's not about you. The reader decides that, and you're never going to please everybody. So think about who you're writing for. And if you're really tapped into who you're writing for, your work is going to be more than good enough, because it's not about you, it is about your reader.
And you never know what's going to come, who connects with you through reading your book. There I was at a women's conference in central London last year, sitting next to one of my co-authors in the audience. And we, took the book out, and I think we wanted to show it to someone. And the lady behind me, I swear, saw this book. She said, "Oh, I've just been reading this book with my book club. In my book club, I'm leading a book club in the USA, and we were in London in a conference." Wow. And I thought, "Oh wow, that's my book." Yeah. It was just incredible. I felt so humbled, and and we had that really great conversation, and she gave amazing feedback of how the women in her book club enjoyed reading that and what impact it made on them and all that, and how kind of big discussions they had about it as well. So incredible. So limiting beliefs, so we can combat our own limiting beliefs as well when we put ourselves out there. And the more we do it, the less of these limiting beliefs we will have, right? Because if we don't put ourselves out there, then we always stay in our cocoon, in our comfort zone.
I think it's a good thing. There's nothing like a book to bring out people's limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome and all of these things. But that's a really good thing, because having that awareness, you can then go and do something to change it. Otherwise, you just stay, like you say, stuck in that place. So it's a good thing. Celebrate it.
Absolutely. And I think you talked about this as well, about energetically owning your book.
Definitely.
If you don't do that, you might as well just write a book and then don't use it, don't utilize it to get more visibility, to get customers, to make that impact. You have to own it, and you have to work it as well. And yeah, I guess another stumbling block is the structure and the process. It can be
Mm.
overwhelming, and there is definitely a structure and a process, especially when I started off. I didn't know anything about that, and I had to learn quite a lot. And that's why I believe getting some help with that, especially if if you have never done this before, I think it's always
It's a bit of a
really
minefield.
yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think as well. It's like it's one thing to even write the book, but then to actually create it and get it out there.
Absolutely.
It is a big project, but anything that seems a great feat is usually more than worth doing because of where it takes you. So it's always having that vision. So you need to be quite a visionary to write a book, I always think, because it's seeing what could be the possibility.
Yeah. And be that visionary in a minute. We'll talk about that because you might be thinking about, I'm not a visionary. I'm not very good with this. I'm not very good with that. Don't worry, we have a solution. If you want to become an author, we have the ultimate solution for you, which will combat most of these things. Accountability is a big one.
Oh yes.
Sam, how many people are starting to write the book and never actually really
Yeah.
because of fear, or maybe it
Mm.
just takes ages to write, or they don't know the
Time
structure
management. Yeah. Yeah.
management of it. There's a lot of different reasons why people never really publish their book. They have it in the pipeline for years, but then it never
Mm.
comes to fruition, which is such a shame.
Mm.
A real shame. And
Absolutely.
also quite often a big investment in terms of time, energy, and money in terms of really bringing that book out there and just having it designed in an appropriate manner, having it published, getting it out there, doing the launches, maybe even
Mm.
put an ad budget in place so people will see it, all that kind of stuff. It's just, it can be quite a a maze. And launching and distribution, I mean, that's another big thing. Like, there's a huge process around it. So we kind of talked about this. It's definitely a business card. It's one of the best marketing tools out there to attract your clients and really, be like, elevate yourself to be that expert. It helps you with your list building.
Amazing.
Also be a bonus and a giveaway. I use it all the time for my programs, and they're really, really popular. Opening doors. You could even send a book to potential customers, influencers, journalists to get into magazines. I've been featured in quite a lot of big magazines and
Same
online,
here.
PR and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's incredible what can happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can give it as a gift to existing customers, as a thank you, as a Christmas
Mm.
present, whatever. I mean, this is also big. It's about pleasing your existing customers, because who knows, they might recommend you to their friends or other colleagues to come and do business with you, or maybe they're going to upgrade and work with you longer or do some other projects. You just never know, right?
But can I just chip in there? That's another point I was going to say. I now get a lot of referrals. A lot of referrals. So I think, again, being like, oh, goosebumps, as I say, I think when you're really aligned to your book, to me, it always starts with that, being that aligned, having that energy, set your intentions, go from there. Anything can happen, literally anything, because yeah, I just get referrals all the time now for clients to work with me, to help them with their books. So, but I had to be open to that possibility in the first place.
Absolutely. And we talked about the, earning your space on a stage, whether it's an online stage or a podcast stage or an offline, really in-person speaking. People are always looking at, what have you done? What's your track record? And when you are an author, I think you have much more opportunities, or some people actually even think like, or prefer people who have already authored a book, because obviously they want these guest experts to be
Mm,
someone you like. Sam, I'm not sure. Would you have gone into the
yeah.
NHS without the book, without having that book?
Um, I'd done a little bit of speaking, but I got, again, almost straight away, because I became very visible and attracted opportunities to me and people. So I got paid speaking opportunities from my book, much bigger opportunities than I'd had before. So yeah, I would say I think most of all you become a magnet. You become a magnet for all the good things.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that on podcasts, online shows, bloggers, social media influencers, they will be more likely to open the door for you once you have a book out there.
I do know of speakers as well who have been turned down for speaking because they're not an author of a book. And that's quite quite an experienced speaker as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see, networking events, online, offline. Yeah, I mean, I've taken my books to these online and offline networking events with me when there are, I don't know, like bigger sort of conferences. You can have some books there as well. Sometimes they allow you to sell your books. It is a great business card, and it's always an opener for discussion as well, for conversation, getting to know each other. So the last bit is the possibility, basically. So it's really about showing you the possibilities of potentially becoming an author, and your opportunity to potentially 100x your visibility in a shape of a done for you. You might be thinking, oh, what's that all about? So I've been talking about, obviously, potentially the pitfalls in terms of going it alone and trying to write that book, and maybe don't have an accountability partner. You are not quite sure. You might be blocking yourself in terms of your own mindset, getting it out there, process systems, all this kind of stuff can really, really come in between. So I had a vision, as I mentioned a bit earlier, that it was about 2 years ago when I had a vision to actually create a platform and help 100 people to co-author books with me. So the first books, as I showed in the very beginning, were the two. So Rise in Pursuit of Empowerment and Joy are Recipes for Abundance, which actually feature 48 other people. So my story is in there too. And then the other 24 times 2. So all of these people would have probably not been able to write their own book, although they've now gone on and written their own book because they've seen the process. They were part of this first collaboration, and they were able to share their story as part of a chapter, and got all the done for you stuff, like all the launching, obviously the design was done for them. They had the copywriter, and obviously one of the reasons why Sam is with me today is because I've chosen her to be the copywriter and ghostwriter for those who need a bit more help in my next book. And the next book, so I said they were both bestsellers already. So we had 2 best-selling books globally. The first one was released in March, and then the second one this year in February. And so the next one, and by the way, the book cover is just a mock-up at the moment. It will be, obviously, we'll see it's a part of a series, and there will be 4 books in total. But the next book is planned for launch in 2021. And this one is a really, really special one, I think. And I know Sam got very excited when I approached her to be part of this and help those collaborators that are going to come in with writing the copy and getting it together. Because literally it came out of the idea of the pandemic. So so what I'm saying here on the slide is I'm looking for thought leaders who want increased visibility and impact. That's all we were talking about for the last half an hour, to capture your story about the shift or a change that you have experienced in your life in the awakening of this global crisis. Okay, and this could have different formats, and I understand maybe you're saying, oh, is my story worthy, or would that be good? I'd say get on a call with us, apply, we'll talk to you, we'll talk through there is an investment, but there are different packages, and it's really, really affordable as well, right? So it's not going to be thousands of pounds. So don't worry, because we really wanted to make this possible for anyone who may not quite think, oh, I can be this author and all that, right? But you can, because I think that everyone has a story in themselves. And if you want to unleash that story and you're not quite ready to write your own book and go that extra mile on your own and launching it and everything else, we will show you with a done for you system. Well, not system, but obviously we'll give you step by step. We've done it twice now, right? We've had amazing testimonials, which you can share with you as well, from so many other authors who have gotten so many new leads, sales, opportunities in newspapers, in radio, on stages, and all that kind of stuff happened for them. But this is the opportunity to be part of this and write one chapter. So there'll be 25 chapters. It's 1,000 words in the book, and you will get everything pretty much on the golden plate. Like, everything will be designed for you. Sam will be helping you writing the story if you get stuck. And we have a schedule, and we will be, we will be launching this, right? Instead of potentially you trying to write your own book and it's going to take years to get out, or maybe it's not going to come out at all. And I believe very firmly this will be another bestseller. Not only, I mean, we know because we're a big group that will all promote, and we have all the tools around us in terms of, and the knowledge in terms of how to do it organically, but we also have budget for paid ads. We have PR going on as well. But also, just because looking at the topic, it's so super relevant. And here is just a bit of a mock-up as to what the collateral could be like in terms of the inspiration that we can take. And maybe we can have some images in there as well in the book to actually talk about those lives that have been impacted and people who have been superheroes. So it's going to have a bit of a creative spin to it as well, because if you look at the other two books, there's always been a page in the beginning of each of the stories. So I don't know, maybe I should stop sharing for a moment just to show it on the big screen. Right here. So basically, there's always been a page in the beginning of a story, which could feature, something that you really, or that you're really inspired about, or maybe a person that then inspires you. And then there's the story itself in the book, which is obviously over 3 pages roughly. And then there you have your double page of your bio, your website. So this is where people can really connect with you. And as you can see, it's quite detailed in terms of how we design it. And there's a theme, obviously, with the Joy book. We had the flower theme.
They're beautiful books.
Yeah, and we even have a poet. She already wrote a poem. So as we have a poem for Joy, we already have a very well-known poet from Canada who's already written a poem for us to put into the book, the Shift book. And we're looking at getting someone a bit more well-known as well to do the pre-word, the preface, or the pre-word. Because it's all about also having influencers knowing about this book. So this one was a bit more fun, obviously talking about recipes for abundance and joyful. And I wrote about my childhood memoirs. And then here I have my double page. So really, really powerful. There is a link. So if you want to know more, there's some questions here as well. I'm just going to go back to the questions in a sec. But if you want to know more, I can't explain obviously all the details, but you get the gist of what the opportunity is, I guess, in terms of you potentially being a co-author in that next book and providing your story here. Actually, I have another slide talking to that. Forgot about that. Why is this project? Yeah, I think this is important. So yeah, it's a sponsored book project. We do this for charity. I mean, I'm not really taking a huge amount of money out of the books. Actually, I want to give that platform and help others really to have that visibility. And I'm very passionate about that, because I believe there is no life and there's going to be a new life. So I'd really love to bring those stories to life and share that new thinking. And of course, there have been a lot of vivid shifts that you probably have seen or driven. Maybe there has been especially a time in lockdown that, you had a shift inside you and things that came up in your head. Or how have you seen the world has changed in only a few weeks, and how has it impacted you? yourself and others. And hopefully we'll get some positive stories. It shouldn't be like a negative story. Obviously, there's a lot of crisis going on, but I think a lot of good things have come out of the situation as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of people have realised what's really important to them as well.
Absolutely, and I think this is why this is going to be such a hugely inspiring book, and it's one of a kind. No one's really done anything like this. We're probably in the forefront of sharing these stories coming out of the pandemic, right? And your challenges. Maybe you work for an organization. Maybe you are a leader somewhere in an organization. Maybe you want to tell the story of the organization, or your organization wants to be featured. So you can come in as an individual or as a whole organization. As I said, it's all for charity. So we have some sort of donation packages, and we can talk to you about those as well when you get on a call with us. I think we talked about the results and impact. I mean, that's definitely going to be another best-selling book. I'm absolutely sure, because we'll have a lot of backing for this as well.
Mm.
And showing the others the way from the crisis, leaving that legacy, inspiring others, and most and foremost for those that are building a business, absolutely that brand visibility, the networking aspect, and up-leveling, as we already talked about in the previous sections. Opening doors, potentially giving you new business direction. Actually, through the books, I now have a second business. I didn't have a second business. Working with corporates again, I didn't have that. That came out of the inspiration of the books. How amazing is that, right?
And I've got a brand new, well, I had a brand new business created as well.
So, how long does it take to write a good book? How long is a piece of string?
Yeah, it could be as little as a week. You know, there are novelists in particular who can write a phenomenal amount of words in a very short space of time. Or it can take you years. It all depends on, again, how committed you are, your mindset, your environment, your productivity. All of these things add up. I wrote my first book in 16 days, and that's with 2 days off in the middle, because I was those things, all of those things, and the vision and everything was very aligned, and I was very committed. But you know, you can take longer with it. I usually guide people over a sort of a 4-month period for a full book. So for like a chapter in this book, it can be much shorter. You know, it could be done within a day. You could have your chapter written within a day.
Exactly, which is brilliant. Good. Yeah, and I think we already said, who is this for? It's for thought leaders who want to leave a legacy, do good, who want to create impact, shape that new era as well. Business owners who want to increase visibility, reach, and expand their business, as well as industry leaders who had to adjust quickly and want to share some best practices and highlight the achievements of their organizations or themselves as well. So it's a mixed bag, but super exciting. Charities, we have always a number of charities involved in the book. We already chosen charities for this book, so we're going to be pretty much focusing on any sort of COVID-related charities, because it just fits exactly with the theme. And yeah, here's the link to apply. So you just click on the link and book a call with us and see, what how you can fit, and also what sort of packages are available for you in terms of the investment. Okay, if you have any more questions, let us know, but that's pretty much us for today. Sam, any last wise words before we go?
I always say to people, if you have a story to share, just think, and if the fears come in that are trying to stop you, just think your story in your voice, in your words, could be just what that one person out there, and it's unlikely to be one person, but many people, to be the shift for them to transform their lives. So, and as I said earlier, you don't get to judge that. That's for the other person to decide. So get out of your own way. Share your story, share your content, make yourself visible, because if you've got that inside you already, there's a reason for that, and it's just you stopping you. So I talk about honouring your calling as well. So to me, it was very much like a calling. If I'd have not honoured my calling, I wouldn't be here on this call now. I wouldn't have created the business that I had. I wouldn't have been able to help the people that I have. So yeah, just do honour yourself and get out of your own way, because those fears, they really aren't real.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Sam. And yeah, and maybe you know someone who would love to be involved in this project. So please just share it with them. Let them know this is available. It's not happening very often that you have, I think it's almost like a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity, because hopefully we don't have many more of these pandemics and things like this happening. But as I said, it will be probably one of a kind, that type of book to come out of stories. It could be internal shifts or external shifts, I would have thought. But yeah, and if you're not sure, just book a quick call, like a 10-15 minute chat. We'll tell you a bit more about that as well, about the whole book, how it works. We can share some testimonials and everything else as well. So super excited, and I look forward to chatting with some of you who might think, well, actually, I'm going to take that leap. I'm going to become a best-selling author in 2021. How was that? Bye.